Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel where my neurodivergent and niche interests come to play. And today we are just going to be doing another What's in My Bag review. I will say beforehand, if I look like I'm starting to sweat profusely, it is because I am. I live in Virginia and we are hitting the point where climate change is really starting to affect us, and we have teeny weeny short winters and really long extended periods of heat. So I am wearing a sweater that I really like while I can, before it's going to be t-shirt, tank top, just bare everything, all hot as balls weather. This review is going to be a bit shorter, I should believe. I don't think I'm going to be able to carry on for 20 minutes or more, because this is a bag that, while not being contemporary, it isn't one that has a sort of lineage that I can trace back like the Bayswater or the Tory Burch Lee Radziwill that I have already reviewed. If you would like to see those videos, I will try my best to leave them linked down below. But for those of you who don't know, when it comes to handbags, I really like, especially, just handbags on a whole, not just shopping on the secondhand market. I really like focusing on design, function, and quality. Now, with purchasing secondhand, especially if you're doing online, which is what I typically do, it can be difficult to establish and really ascertain quality because you can't touch it, you can't feel it, you can only go by your own information and what you know about the materials and the brand. This baby right here, which y'all would have seen in a monthly hits video, a monthly favorites. This is a video, this is a bag that I have been carrying for at least 2 months. I have just really been enjoying it as they throw all my shit in my bag and take to work with me. Just sling that thing on there and flail it all around in the car, flinging it places. How much a bag can take my abuse is really kind of like, if I have a bag and I get one, I'm like, oh, it's nice quality and it feels good. But what really lets me know whether it's a good bag is how much it can stand up to just how not gentle and delicate and nice. But with that being said, it gives me a really good baseline for knowing what I like when going for either a contemporary bag or a vintage bag. Again, brand, because we like certain designs, we like certain things, but bottom line, really, can it hold up to the beating I am going to put this thing through? I am unsure whether this bag would be considered vintage. I think it's always important to remember that the official whatever for vintage is 20 years plus, which that's what makes it vintage. I've said it multiple times, a lot on the secondhand market, people will tag vintage on it just sort of as a tag to get exposure and to claim that something is vintage because that's really in right now. Or if it is a more contemporary bag, I am not entirely sure. I will apologize for that right now that I do not have more information. When it comes to my reviews of doing older bags, I will try to include as much information that I can find, but oftentimes when you are shopping the secondhand market and you're just like, oh, well, here's this one floating here. If you're not looking for a specific one, or if you're shopping vintage Coach and there are 21,000 different Coach bags called the Legacy and the Hampton and the Soho, just Coach loves taking a name and then adding something to it and then making a huge amount of bags that all have the same keyword that look maybe slightly different, but still fall under that same design-wise of, say, Soho or Hampton. So I do not have a name or any sort of lineage with this bag. I can tell you with Salvatore Ferragamo, he started his design line in 1927 with shoes. I remember, oh my goodness, when I first started getting into fashion kind of on like a designer level, I remember it was such a big thing to have a pair of Salvatore Ferragamo shoes. It was like the peak of shoe quality, which is what he started his empire on, and then went into bags in 1959, which still gives us a really wide range, a long lineage of creating bags. Therefore, when you have a brand that is really that has been established for that long and has been creating handbags for such an extended period of time, there is so much ground to cover, and there's so many different designs that have happened over the years. It can be a lot more difficult to really figure out, you know, names and years, because again, you have different tiers of bags. You have, you know, what instates authenticity, whether it's going to be a serial number or a certain something like this. It's just kind of a bit of a convoluted gamble crapshoot to figure out when and where something started. So just for a quick whatever, nothing really changes when it comes to what I have in my bag. Basically, I just shuffle the same contents from bag to bag to bag, and that really doesn't change. It's just the same stuff, again, that I take with me every day to my job, and this is a daily driver type bag. Without going into too much detail, I really love the subtle branding here. This whatever circular shape going on here, that's like the symbol, the Gucci whatever, that's what signifies luxury, designer, fancy symbolism. I really like how easy this bag is to get into, as well as how the back is able to sit open like this. That's how I like to take my Mulberry Bayswater and basically run around with it typically, so that I can get into it as I'm doing my shit. And then it still looks really nice when you've just got it like that, easy to get in and out of. And like a good daily driver, this bag has a lot of stuff in it. It's not too messy. This is a fairly recent, I've actually put stuff in a different bag and then put it back in here to do this review for y'all. But it carries a nice amount of stuff, as it should. I've got a notebook in here, right here. I've got my typical pens and chapstick and things going on. I've got my toothbrush bag here. I've got my medical whatever. This is hair ties and tampons and Band-Aids and other stuff like that. A thing of wipes, because you never cannot be prepared, as I have learned from my girlfriend. A charger going on here. Sometimes this is in a little cute little bag, depending on how put together I am, or if I'm just throwing everything in there and going. Got my wallet, have a bajillion and one chapsticks all over the place up in here. I have got a hand cream, hand lotion, more chapstick going on here, and then at the very bottom, because I hadn't completely emptied this out, apparently, got a bunch of delectables, because the lady at the hotel, her cat is extremely picky, and my cat will literally eat anything. You drop an ibuprofen on the floor, God forbid he is there, because that ibuprofen, as soon as it hits the floor, that's a treat. And just for funsies, I like giving this is the bag here, and then this is the pile of crap that I pulled out of said bag. So it holds a pretty good amount, and honestly, it could hold more and still be a feasible, not too difficult carry-all. Now, quality and usability wise, this bag has a lot of things going for it, aside from the fact that it is made from beautiful, decadent, delicious. I don't have skincare on my face, but as I stated previously, I am starting to sweat profusely, so I not press my face to this bag, get all my disgusting sweat and oils on it. Like I said, the leather is absolutely gorgeous, with just some gentle cleaning and some maintenance and some conditioning. At some point, I want to do a little bit of recoloring on it, some touch up. I currently don't have any recoloring balm, as it is pretty stinking expensive, and I haven't heavily got into restorative content other than just kind of like gently taking care of my bags. I love the monochromatic look to it. I love how it's got this little tab here going on here that you can open and expand it. It's actually just got 2 snaps here, as you can see here, and you can pull this out and then pull it back in and just snap it on that closure there. I actually really appreciate the snap, because it makes it super easy, whereas the Mulberry Bayswater, I don't know if this is more quality and more sturdy or not, but it has I have no idea what it's called, like a belt hook, how you do a belt. You pull it through and you push the thing, and then, yeah. But I really like how just easy and convenient the snap is. I love Love the interior of this, kind of the, I'm not even going to pretend to know what what time period era or what type of design this is, but I think it is a really nice, fun contrast. Adds a pop of like, oh, nice brown monochromatic, but I'm still fun. It has feet on the bottom, which I always appreciate, though depending on how the feet are designed on a bag, kind of, I wonder how effective and how helpful it actually is to the preserving the wear and tear of your bag. When I got this one initially, especially since it is a used bag, I was worried about the straps here getting significant wear. This is essentially how the Mulberry Bayswater is, and that bag is hardy AF. And like I said, I've been hauling and just absolutely swinging this thing around all the place, filled with that much, filled with more, filled with just all kinds of stuff. I've had water bottles in here. I've had energy drinks in here because I work at a hotel. But really, the design and the function of this, I think, is just such a beautiful, classic looking silhouette while being its own thing and still also evoking the shape of this sort of Hermes Birkin-esque look, which at some point we're going to get into a whole video about creative property and design and lookalikes and everything like that. But this is one of my favorite types of designs, and for size reference, this is a Bayswater in the large. I will look and see and hopefully put it on the screen for y'all just so you have reference wise, and also giving you that nice esque Mulberry look, Hermes Birkin look, while this one, which I got for a freaking steal, but still disgustingly expensive, was $400. And this one was, I believe, around $125. And just the quality of this, for if you can get into and learn and know how to, again, be able to ascertain quality and know what you're looking for, be aware of the brand's quality, because as I like to say, just because something's expensive and it's made by a bougie brand does not mean that that is guaranteed quality for your money. Which is also why I like going off the beaten path when it comes to design, so long as I am confident in my authentication abilities. If I'm not entirely sure, I will have it authenticated by a third party. Typically that can cost $10 to $15, but if you're spending a large amount of money on a handbag, I think it is definitely worth every single penny. After having this bag, I would really like to have and look into getting more Ferragamo. He is a pretty expensive, like current contemporary bags being sold online can go upwards of $2,000. Now, with that being said, I have no idea when this one was created, and obviously there are tiers. Just because one handbag is worth thus and such does not mean that all of his bags are created equally. Vintage and secondhand are one of the things that I really strive for, especially with moving forward in my trying to be a much more mindful consumer, not just in being sustainable, but also in being able to identify quality versus just buying something either for an aesthetic or buying it just because it's from a particular brand. Obviously, when it comes to aesthetics and what we like, some brands may have more than others. As I said, I am really intrigued and interested in looking more into this brand. Not on a contemporary level, but like more on like this price point. I've seen other ones for $200, $300, $400, $500 that are all really pretty. But when it came to my decision to get this one, it just looked like really good quality. I had the seller send me extra pictures because I am super uber paranoid and have been burned in the past about something looks like something. If you're never sure, always ask for extra pictures of like certain things where you're concerned about wear, because if you're concerned about it and you don't look into it, it could potentially be very sad later on. And for a bag that I knew absolutely nothing about, and while it wasn't a whim, just like, oh, just whatever, you know, but one that I didn't know its lineage, like when it comes to a lot of my Mulberry and a lot of Fendi and other bags where I'm like, okay, I know the name of this, I know when it was created, when it was produced, sort of have an idea of where in a timeline and where in the brand quality spectrum it lands. This was one of those, like I said, not a shot in the dark because doing your research and everything, but it ended up being something that exceeded my expectations, makes me so happy, and ended up being one. Again, used it for 2 months happily, and for about the last week of the 2 months, like, I want to use something else. I want to put it in another thing. Got other bags to use. But on a whole, it is just one that I really love the quality of. I love the style. I love the design. I do like the more subtlety of the branding. A lot of his other designs have this going on here where it's very vivid, very obvious, usually typically a big old metal something. So I was really drawn to just the nice simplicity while still having a very classic and unique shape. And while I'm like, I have a Ferragamo, but it's different than everyone else's. I just like finding things from known brands that are just kind of off the norm a little bit, not necessarily ones that are readily known and readily just sort of like, you know, when you think about certain brands, you have certain designs come to mind. And while those are nice and some of them are extremely classic, I mean, I am not unique in this at all. I have said it multiple times before. Everybody knows this. Everybody loves this one. And I really just like how this one is similar to that. It really has the style, shape, everything going for it when it comes into a carry-all workhorse bag for me, daily driver. And I am definitely an advocate when it comes for buying this sort of stuff. While I like getting input from other people, I like getting input from other consumers, regular everyday consumers, rather than any sort of influencers who are working with brands, because again, I really advocate for secondhand and finding things that are unique to you and things that make your heart sing. Not saying there's nothing y'all do and whatever, you know, I have classic designs. I got the Fendi Peekaboo that is not at all any kind of like, oh, no one knows the design of this bag. But I like to strive for individuality, and I like to strive for a level of sustainability that involves not just contemporary, well-known designs that typically pop up on the market regularly. All in all, this was a extremely fortuitous find. I love it so much, and even still after using it for 2 months, gonna stuff it full, make it nice, have it sit over there with some of its siblings, and I still look at it and I'm like, you were a good investment. Taking care of you, you will be with me, and that makes me very happy. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed that review. It actually went a little bit better than I thought because I was concerned that I'd be like, I know nothing about this brand and I know nothing about this bag, but hopefully I was able to make a nice enough informative review for you all, give you some tips and some whatevers when it comes to purchasing things secondhand and trying to figure out quality and things like that. When I'm going to be doing more videos talking about sustainability and shopping secondhand, really your best asset is going to be your own knowledge and your own research when it comes to things. I have learned so much from trial and error, learned from other people. And again, when it comes to spending so much money on frivolous non-necessities, I really find that I like to do my due diligence and know what I'm getting into. I understand that shopping secondhand and shopping more sustainable is definitely a very privileged way to shop and spend your money because it takes much more time, takes a lot more patience, and it's really difficult to navigate the secondhand market because there is a lot of craziness, a lot of shenanigans going out there in how people are approaching and dealing with and selling on the secondhand market. That's a whole other video I am starting a script on for you all, but I really do hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed filming it. I really like doing these bag reviews. Like I said, I've got a whole bunch of different ones that I am much more than happy to review for you all. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you. And as always, keep it real. Mwah!